Welcome to a show about things you can see without going far, and a lot of them are free. If you thought there was nothing in the old heartland, you ought to hit the blacktop with these fools in a van. Look out, they're driving hard, checking out art in their own backyard. Randy does the steering so he won't hurl. Mike's got the map, such a man of the world. That's Don with the camera, kinda heavy on his shoulder. And that giant ball of tape, it's a world record holder. Look out, they're driving hard, checking out art in their own backyard. Look out, they're driving hard, checking out the world in their own backyard. Checking out the world in their own backyard.
This is something that apparently North Carolina specializes in, because I've never seen self-kicking machines anywhere else. And apparently, come get kicked.
Dear TV Mailbag, have I died and gone to heaven? Hi, Don the camera guy here. Looks like one of those TV weasels with whom I travel has volunteered for some corporal punishment.
It's got some rules. Rule number 4, probably the most crucial of all.
Do not stand facing boots.
And the boots are, oh, look at that.
Made for kicking. Thinking through, have I done something I should kick myself for? Losing my glasses.
Brought me
Man, I
along.
could have kicked myself. Oh,
I'm getting it.
oh, I will never lose my glasses again.
How about that wrong turn you made?
Oh,
Another take, producer Mike.
I think another take, cameraman Don. I'm getting it.
oh.
Let's do it again.
Hey, I only lost the glasses once.
I don't think I got that. I wasn't rolling.
I didn't get the light quite on the boots right. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Keep shooting, cameraman Don. You know, cameraman Don, I think another angle would be nice.
So what's this got to do with finding great grassroots art?
that last one really hurt.
Nothing really, but it sure is fun.
Oh,
And besides, we'll be back in that cramped Chrysler soon enough anyway.
you got a pillow I can use?
Yeah, here.
See, I just give and give, even if it is Mike's pillow. At any rate, the boys insist we'll strike it big in Littleton. Just as soon as we find Richard Brown's flower shop on, and I'm not making this up, East North Main Street, where someone's taken the tools of the trade and used them in the most unusual way.
When did you start? I don't think I've even heard how long this has actually been going
This been
on.
going on since 96. That was right after my mama got ill. And I just picked up a piece of styrofoam and went on from there. That's what you call a boot nail pen. And this is what you call your floor wipe for your flowers.
I see you're spreading and using glitter and stuff.
That's like glitter.
Glitter and glue, is that what that is?
That's what it is.
Had you seen other people making things with it?
Never have. It's something just come natural.
What was the first thing you made, do you remember?
The first thing I made, it was a crane, one of the high-rising crane. This is a military crane. Where you see that stump track, that's supposed to be where men could come from under that. This is a military crane too.
Now, is in the military, is there really a crane like that?
I've never seen that one. That was a mind thing to me. Have came to me, that's what it have been. None of us have seen this stuff. See, most of this stuff's supposed to be done already done happened.
So it's like somebody found them way in the future, but they found them 100 years after they'd already been.
Right.
I think that's...
What?
See, what I do, I visualize things in my dream. And when I dream about them, I have to get up and put it to work. None of this stuff that I have ever seen right here. Most of this stuff is supposed to be from like it done been, like the future past.
Now, do you sketch it out first and make drawings, or you just...
I just get the piece of styrofoam and I go from there. It's just like a picture before me.
Does it help the flower shop business to do these things?
Well, I got a lot of people who like to come in, but I don't expose it out and let a lot of folks see it. I don't care that much about publicity. whether if it don't ever get anywhere, I just like doing them. You know, once you get started on it, you don't want to stop. And that's why I had to kind of stop, because I was going to fill the place up. I had this run out of room.
Richard's dreams must be awfully vivid, since in his waking life he's got no nautical knowledge or military training whatsoever. What he needs is more room, which will be coming soon at a spacious new location where he can stack styrofoam freely. There's your damn duo water tower shot.
Come on, Don.
Our future past, however, requires that we leave Littleton and head for Roanoke Rapids, or just outside it, where Randy is once again hot on the trail of something large for us to look at.
Now this thing we're supposed to come find here used to be downtown, and it used to be up on top of a building, and they sign ordinanced it out of town.
Look at that. What is he holding?
This is Shriner. This is Daniel Boone with an oil can fez. Don't go away. I just want you to get a sense of scale here.
That would be the balls of his feet.
That really is an oil can.
I love it. Okay. That's an oil can. It's
Yeah.
a 55-gallon drum. on
30
top.
weight, I think. He's big, and he's just a forerunner of someone we'll see tomorrow. Can I just leave it at that?
Well, if you must.
You've been warned. Now, naturally, driving so many back roads takes a toll on even the finest minivan finish. So we try to touch it up once in a while, though never at a place quite like this. On the grounds of a giant paper mill with a big civic heart.
Well, I didn't say it was gonna be fancy, but Don, it's free. They went to a lot of trouble and made this car wash, and whew, oh man. I was going for the deluxe wash. You can tell me, how is it?
It's pretty stinky out here, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I liked it better when the window was up. Would you mind?
This is how they.
Hey, 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 hey!
I think this is how they get rid of their sewer water.
Oh, I think it is.
At least no factory goons accosted us, just an olfactory assault from that smell.
Cute, man. That's awful.
But the car is shiny clean.
Oh yeah, it's real clean.
Oh man.
That smell finally lifted on the drive out to Gettysburg, replaced by a breath of fresh air called Eloise Stevenson, proud owner of New Knees and widow of Q.J. Stevenson, trapper, construction worker, and builder of his own Earth Museum in the front yard.
He didn't finish high school. He didn't finish the 7th grade. He was out hunting in the woods. Well, he'd run a drag line. He trapped in the winter. So then he started digging up all this stuff, you know.
Well, there seems to be a story here that QJ was trying to tell about these parts. Is that
Oh,
what
yeah.
this is? What story is it?
About the Indians and things that they did a long time ago. Yeah, see the stump there?
Yeah.
He found petrified wood and all kind of rocks and stuff. He found a meteorite and he found a dinosaur tusk and different things like that. He made a lot of it. His version of what they were way back yonder. He didn't want nobody to see him doing this. No, nobody. Man up the road told him, he said, if you show me how you put those leaf prints in the cement, he says, I'll pay you $50. He said, do it like I did, find out for yourself. And he would not show it. He believed in Roosevelt.
He was a Roosevelt fan?
Yes, sir. He read a lot of books, old encyclopedias and things like that. And he was just interested. See, this is some of the stuff he trapped, plus rats.
Look at this guy.
There.
Yeah.
That's my sister.
That's your sister?
See, show me some resemblance.
Huh.
You know what that is?
It looks like weenies on a stick.
It's cattails.
Cattails.
That was gonna be my second guess.
Cattails, corn dogs. Who can tell?
Corn dog done? Before you go in though, what about the critter?
Wasn't he pretty?
Oh, Lord. Oh, my goodness. It's like it's a whole nother world. Must have spent hours and hours out here.
Every waking minute,
Would this be somebody we know?
that was his first girlfriend.
Oh. Would it also be?
That better be you.
Every little space is different. He didn't repeat himself, did he? Kind of looks to me like he got one thing going, then he moved on.
He'd stop working on that and have something else, and he'd start working on something else, and then that's why he's got so much stuff unfinished. Anybody bring him anything, he's gonna put it in cement. I said one thing sure to better not come back and ask for it, because it'd be buried in cement.
Did he want everybody to come see this stuff?
Oh yeah, that's what he built it for. He told me never to sell it, never to get rid of it. This is what he lived for. He wouldn't cut the grass, he'd get the boy to cut the grass. And then he'd be out here diddling and daddling, or in the back diddling and daddling. So.
Is that a technical term, diddling and daddling?
Or whatever. If he liked you, he liked you. If he didn't like you, he's tough luck.
Think he'd like these guys?
Oh yeah, he liked them because they like his rocks.
Donations.
Here, can I have a second?
Probably the first Sacagawea, wouldn't you think?
Probably. It was nice of me to do that.
Eloise and her niece seemed pleased to show us around, giving a stellar tour of QJ's Lodge, museum, or whatever you want to call it. I'm sure he'd understand that at this point, I'd just like to call it a day.
Oh, it's so sweet.
Hey now, enjoy that t-shirt.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
M-N-O.
Remember that promise of something big? Well, this isn't it, but somehow our search for a giant plastic woman has led back here, to these locked gates that guard the grounds of MNO, Rocky Mount's Men's Night Out.
She's such a temptress, they have to keep her behind barbed wire. She used to be out on Highway 301. Everybody knew her.
Security's tight. There she is.
Can you see her navel ring?
Well, she's kind of, she's got a modesty branch.
She's comely.
Is that a word?
It is. Not as good a word as pulchritudinous.
Well, I don't know about you boys, but I think something kinky was going on back here.
Kinkometer?
Kinkometers. Whoop, 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 whoop.
So, lacking any better ideas, the boys grabbed their gloves and threw some quick Carolina catch.
Ow!
Then it was back in the van and back to school. This pretty little campus belongs to North Carolina Wesleyan, home of the Four Sisters Gallery and the Robert Lynch collection of outsider art, gathered up by a native North Carolinian who made it big in New York but loved the stuff made around here best.
One of the things that is important in understanding the nature of self-taught art or visionary art is that people's motivations usually are not conventional. Some of these people are very motivated by religion, some of them are motivated by being alienated from mainstream society, some of them are motivated for just the pure pleasure of making something in an unconventional manner. This particular exhibition is called All Creatures Great and Small. The criteria for the exhibition is that it has to have animals, which was...
I got to interrupt you here because I think All Creatures Great and Small is a trademark public television name. I'm not sure about that, but that's a good look.
Let me show you the greatest animal, and we have the purple sea monster, which is overhead here, which is a 10-foot long piece of driftwood, which was fashioned by a man with my namesake, Everett Mayo. Everett Mayo is from Richmond, Virginia. And since I'm mentioning Richmond, Virginia, and Rocky Mount, North Carolina, Route 301 north of the exit from I-95.
Plenty of free parking.
Plenty of free parking. The territory that the Four Sisters Gallery uses to collect is what's called the coastal plain. From Virginia down into Georgia and over to the Piedmont where you saw Clyde Jones. And Clyde Jones is at the cutting off point. After Clyde Jones, there really is no more folk art.
Yeah.
Vernon Burwell worked in the railroad, retired. A lot of these men were used to working, and when they were forced into retirement because of their health or because of their particular age or something like that, they couldn't stop working. And Vernon Burwell was very, very prolific, made a lot of different kinds of sculptures. One of the great pantheists of the collection, of course, is Quentin J. Stevenson. I know you visited his widow. He loved different materials. He would never tell you what he painted or cemented things together with. That was a trade secret. This particular object is made by Jeff Williams. I've never met Jeff Williams. And one of the things that he is so incredibly clever with is the way he assembles and the energy and the vitality in his animals. I got dogs that look just like this.
They're usually on my leg, and I usually smack them.
Gary Gerganis is a, I guess you could call him a horticulturist. He grows trees. One of the things that Gary does so well is he carves narrative things. He said that because when he was a kid, he and his brothers would be sitting around the dinner table waiting to eat supper, and his dad would read scripture and read and read and read, and so they would tire of the scripture and they would daydream. This black notch-carved stick was given to Robert Lynch from Leroy Person. This is New York City refuse that Robert Lynch brought back to Leroy Person, who then in turn fashioned it into his two-headed peacock or snail. A lot of these folk artists use objects resourcefully because there is a investment they feel in transforming the ordinary into something extraordinary. If you're on I-95, headed to Florida, there's nothing there.
Might as well get off right
Get off
here.
at Rocky Mount and come see the gallery.
Where is that place?
Where would that gallery be?
Rocky Mount, North Carolina, the Four Sisters Gallery on Route 301 north of Rocky Mount, 5 miles on your left. And
That's free
an
parking.
Of course, parking is one of those things we seldom do for long. Like eating and resting, though far be it from me to complain as we cruise through that coastal plain on our way to Wilson, where in the space of one city block you can see 2 oversized objects, both with a maritime theme.
You know, we've been seeing those annoying little lighthouses in people's yards all over the whole time we've been driving. Man, what is with those things? They are ugly.
They got it from us, actually.
How big is that?
40 foot.
Now let me get this right. It's the biggest replica of a lighthouse,
Right,
of the world's biggest lighthouse.
Lighthouse in Wilson, right. And the only biggest lighthouse in Wilson.
Do you know the word ambergris?
No.
What is ambergris?
That's whale puke.
Whale puke. Everybody should know that.
Are y'all really gonna film this? I don't have to pay anything though.
No, you don't have to pay anything. You don't have to pay us anything to be on our show. Can you give me $5?
Now getting paid peanuts is bad enough. But what really hurts is being told you'll get to throw a few too. Only to discover that the perfect place they had in mind isn't so perfect after all.
Looks pretty busy to me. Not to mention that the sun is right behind him. Maybe this isn't your better place to play catch.
For those of you keeping score at home, it's Big Plastic Brutes 1, Camera Guy 0. Words fail me. Now, it's often been said that a good night's sleep cures everything, but I wouldn't know about that either. What I do know is we're blowing through Baileyville, looking for Lucama and the legendary Wallace Simpson.
Jeez, O.P.
And this is it, the windmills of his mind. Sometimes called Acid Park for their psychedelic qualities, and built, some say, in tribute to a tragically deceased daughter, which they're not. What they are is one jaw-dropping sight created by one amazing man.
I come out of service in 47, and 50 we built, 3 of us built this shop, and they worked good till they retired, got drawing Social Security. I started this after they left. I started this rainy days, holidays then. I didn't ever stop till I finished all this out here. Done it all myself, put it up myself, except 2 pieces.
And how much time are we talking about here? We're talking...
Oh, we're talking about 4 or 5 years. Might even more than that. I didn't do it full time.
What if you'd done it full time? Would you have been able to do it in?
Oh, you couldn't have put it in Wilson County.
What about when you first were putting them up? People down the way, did they go?
Oh man, they couldn't wait to see what I was going to do next. It was a madhouse. And people say, what in the world did you do that for? Some of them say I'm crazy. That's out where the sun will hit it.
Yeah, there it comes.
You might want to go too far.
Now, I forgot to ask if you have names for all these.
No, not really. Most all these, I've been there. The horses you had to farm with a mule for the plow. Airplanes, I was drafting World War II for 1 year service, drove $21 a month. War broke out while I was in there, stayed in there 5 years. Thought I'd never get back here. And most all this, I've been there.
The hard work's just been a way of life for you.
Well, I've been one of the lucky ones. All my other brothers and sisters, I think 72 is the highest they got. And I'm going on 84.
Wallace, look, you're 84, you're almost 84.
Well, I was 83 in January 17th.
Yeah, look at those arms on
They're drying up now.
Wow, but they're pretty taut.
Old hands have been the best it's ever been. I've been sprung, bent. See, that hasn't been broke.
That doesn't look...
I got off the riders, of course, I don't let that bother me. I leave that gate open most of the time so people can come in here. I have a lot of senior citizens and school young ones and church crowd come and they have a little picnic. I can accommodate 35 or 40 in that little gazebo.
And I had some people from visiting us, friends of ours from Illinois out here, a man and his wife, and they just went berserk. They couldn't realize that one guy could do all that.
By any day, I don't care how hot and humid it is, it'll take off, quit, take off, quit, take off, quit. That opening right in here, most of the time it's a turning cause. I always tell the people that's the legislature, hot air from Raleigh, the legislature.
When you stop to think about it, see if a good wind, that whole thing turns. It takes a little power, and I mean the balance, that's what amazes me.
First thing when we drove up, Don said it looks like an amusement park he remembers from Kansas City. Were you influenced by things you'd been to like that? Didn't go to a lot of amusement parks, or?
No, I went to the Raleigh Fair and Wilson Fair here, but that didn't shake me up. I think the Hoochie Coochie did. Back then.
Now, how does that Hoochie Coochie go? I used to know that one.
Yeah.
We've been all over Wallace. We've seen an awful lot of things doing our show, but we have never seen anything like this.
Well, that was my idea, build something different. I've built all my life.
Was there a creative streak in your childhood, an art background somewhere, any kind of?
I didn't know what art was back then. Don't know now.
So what do you think when people say it's an art site? I mean...
Well, I let them do what they want to. They know more than I do.
You don't try to talk them out of it?
No.
But you don't think of it that way.
Ain't no two seeds alike, you know. People a lot of ask, how you put these things up? I said, well, I eat a lot of Wheaties over a period of years. Things have changed in your lifetime and my lifetime too. Some art's for the better, some art's for the worst. So this computer age, someone's got to get their hands dirty.
That's why we brought Don.
And they're dirty. Look at this. Yeah.
As one willing worker to another, I tip my hat to this guy. And you haven't even seen what's in his shop. From a place I'm truly glad I got to see, this is Don the Camera Guy, signing off.
Own a copy of the companion book to Rare Visions, complete with tips on where to find food, fun, and fascinating folks. It's just like the TV show, only it doesn't move. For information about the artists, wacky sites, and how you can see them for yourself, go to kcpt.org.
This is stupid credits right here. Give me that.
Yeah, I'm having a little trouble. Oh man.
You should kick yourself.